Hello, Christina Johnson here again, and welcome to the segment on collaborative therapy. So, when I think about collaborative therapy, it's less of a list of tools and interventions that I can really just role play and then be a collaborative therapist. It's more of a paradigm, it's a worldview, and it very much is in line with what we've already talked about in this course with postmodern social constructivist and narrative therapy, in that we all create our own reality. So the way that collaborative therapists like myself take a look at the client and the problems or the healing and the change that happens as they come in to come see me, and they get to the point where they feel ready to graduate and bye, Christina, I don't need you anymore. Collaborative therapy, if I break down the word collaborate, together, labor, work. How can we work together? I talked to all of my clients in the very beginning about, kind of in the informed consent, about how I do therapy. So that way they know what to expect. I let them know that I am just a person. Yes, I am a licensed marriage and family therapist, and they view me as an expert. That's why they're coming in to see me. But at the same time, I view them as the experts on their own lives. And so I take a very humble and curious stance as to that there's been a lot that's happened before you guys have come in to come see me. And I want to bear witness to your stories. And in collaborative therapy, it's not a up and down, like a one man down. So the therapist, the power of this chair that I'm sitting in, it really dissolves away when doing collaborative therapy. I even like to change where we sit in the room. Whenever I walk people down the hallway and into my room for the first time, I say, you can have a seat wherever you'd like. I've never in 10 years in this office have had someone come in and sit in the therapist chair. It hasn't happened yet. There's some kind of power in the chair. They feel like this is the expert. This is where the expert sits. And so it's kind of fun to change around where we sit in the room and to allow the teenager, allow the parent, and allow myself to each take turns kind of in the therapist chair. So that, I guess, is an intervention that I've used that's very collaborative. Also, it's kind of fun to get out of the office if you're able to at the clinics that you are working at. It's nice to go for a walk around the building and to walk around outside. If you can even play basketball or kick the ball around with each other, tossing a ball even in the office, it really kind of shows in a very visual way that I am just one person meeting with another person or another family group of people, and that we are tossing back and forth the ball. We are in this dialogue together where we're working together to see how we can make things better. So collaborative therapy, it's really important that I remain curious and that I let them know that they are the expert. I am very mindful to show a lot of respect to my clients. And sometimes the parents are hesitant to come in, as I mentioned previously, that they say, this is for them, this therapy is for them, and they really want to kind of wait out in the lobby or to not even come into the building. so collaborative therapy is really helpful in that respect, is that I let them know how valuable they are. I let them know that as the patriarch in the family or the matriarch in the family, that you are with your child way more than I am. I'm only with them for 45, 50 minutes once a week in general. And all the other minutes and hours of the day, you're most likely going to be with them. You know them and you know your family way better than I do. And so the solutions to the problems that you come in with, they're within you. I also do have some expertise in my own life in working with the families that I've worked with. So I can help you by sharing some of those with you, and then you can pick up and take what you like and leave what you don't, because we are all different. All of us are going to relax in different ways, chill out in different ways. And so a technique or a solution that might work for one family or one client might not work for you. So as a collaborative therapist, I don't cling too tightly to this is the way. This is the way that we are going to change and help your family. And so I don't cling on too loosely, or too tightly, rather, to what is the problem and what is the solution. I'm very, very open-minded, and I think that that helps a lot for the families that I see to feel more validated in their experience. And being heard and validated is the most healing thing for our mental health, our spiritual health, our physical health. Just that connection, that therapeutic relationship really is the vehicle for change, and it's what makes change happen. So what better way to facilitate that relationship but by being on the same level and letting them know that they are experts and that I am here to see how we can work together as a team to maybe take a different look at these problems and try to come up with some solutions together. So I know that I had shared with the class an intervention where I used my coffee box as the example, but that everyone draws a picture of the coffee box. This is a very collaborative therapy tool because it shows that not only do we all have our own unique perspective and create our own meanings out of things, but we also each have blind spots, including me, right? So there's going to be things that I'm not able to see from my worldview, from my perspective, from where I'm sitting. And so we can work together as a team to maybe see around the corners, see whatever I can't see from this perspective, or maybe what you're unable to see from where you're sitting. And so the client is the expert. I'm very respectful, and working at a Medi-Cal clinic, I do need to provide a diagnosis for all of my clients. They need to meet medical necessity in order to get these services. But in collaborative therapy, they really do shy away from labeling and making assumptions. And so I'm a fan of that, assumptions, that makes an ass out of you and me, right? So I appreciate that people are not diagnoses, and that rather they are having their own unique experiences. And so it's all about transformation. How can we transform how we're experiencing or seeing or talking about these problems that we come into therapy with? So I'm really a team player with my clients, and I just get to witness their transformations. I get to bear witness to their stories that they come in with, bear witness to their visions for themselves, personally and together in their relationships. And I get to share my hopes, my visions for them moving forward. And I just make that commitment to them. That helps us build our relationship hugely when they see that Christina is committed to us. She's suiting up and showing up. You know, she is here on game day. She's here for every practice. And we are a team. We are a team. And so I use everyday language with my clients. I tend to match the language with my clients. My teenage clients tend to really dig it when I match their language. And I'm careful with my audience. So if a parent's in the room and they have not been using profanity together with their teenager, then I don't. But if they do, if they are, dropping F-bombs or whatever, then I match with them and I will use that too. And that kind of tends to break the ice a little bit. Working during the pandemic definitely made me more human to my clients, because we would be meeting on Zoom and then I'd have one of my 7-year-old twins, yelling out from the restroom that they pooped and that they, wanted me to help wipe their butt. I'm like, not doing that because they're 7. But it made me a lot more human to them. Whenever I feel with my clients, that's my biggest superpower, is being able to feel with people. I was born with extra mirror neurons to be able to really feel with people. I believe that's one of my talents and treasures. So crying, allowing myself to be tearful and to feel that grief, that loss, that emotional pain that they're experiencing. It really, I think, joins us together and helps us see how much I genuinely care for my clients, and they're able to feel that love and feel that connection and that empathy, that understanding. So I really do focus on understanding. I want to understand their worldview, and if I don't understand it, then how am I going to help to shift it and transform it, right? So there is a tool that I use in collaborative therapy before I walk the family into the room. And that is one of my spiritual beliefs, is in prayer. And so I pray the St. Francis prayer. And the main concept in this one is to seek to understand rather than to be understood. That's huge in collaborative therapy, in all therapy, if you ask me, is that I want to seek to understand how they're feeling, why they're feeling that way, and where they're coming from, and what they want to see moving forward. It's not so important how I feel and how I see the problem and how I would label this problem and what I think that they should do about it. Nobody likes being lectured, especially teenagers. So seeking to understand their worldview is really, really huge. The conversation in the room, it needs to be a back and forth. I really, really don't like it whenever the session is getting to feel like a classroom lecture where I feel like I just talked for 5 minutes and I don't even know what you heard me say. So I'm very mindful to have a back and forth dialogue with everybody in the room. One of the really important tools that I use with every family is reflective listening. Reflective listening is a lost art. And there is a technique and an intervention that I do teach families, reflective listening. I let them know that reflective listening is a skeleton key. It is a skeleton key that opens so many doors. And they will start to notice that I've been reflectively listening to them since they came in the room. I reflect like a mirror. I'm not like a robot or a parrot where I'm just stating back what they said to me, but more I'm paraphrasing, putting it in my own words, and showing them that what they say matters, that I'm truly listening to them, that I'm seeking to understand rather than to be understood myself. So the fun intervention that I do is that I have the family members turn towards each other, and I have one of them be the storyteller, and the other one is the listener. So the storyteller makes up a silly story with a beginning, a middle, and an end with as many details as they can, and they tell the story. So the listener's job is at the end of the story, they're going to reflect back as much of the story as they can remember. And the points that they get from this is that it's not so much about remembering every single detail, but it's about remembering, it's about showing that I'm trying to hear you, I'm trying to understand you. And whenever I reflect back the parts that I heard and the parts that I understood, I can check for meaning. I can check to see, did I get it? Is that what you meant? Was that the moral of the story? And if it wasn't, and if I left some stuff out, or if I didn't understand some major pieces, they'll let me know. So I always ask the storyteller after they've been reflected, how did that feel? How did that feel to be heard and understood and reflected? And it feels good. It feels so good. When do we really feel heard and understood? Not very often. That's why we have a job as therapists. We're paid listeners, because it feels really good to be heard and to be listened to and reflected and understood. Another thing that my clients really, really love is whenever they walk in the door after I haven't seen them for a week, and I tell them, I've really been thinking about you guys. And then I tell them kind of a little synopsis of what I got from the last session. I reflect the major points from our previous session. And not only does that kind of keep the transformation happening, keep the dialogue happening, but it makes them feel important. Whenever I reflect somebody, it makes them feel important. Back in the day, whenever postmodern theorists were coming up with these different models and collaborative therapy was really being kind of more spoken about and collaborated on, they had a one-way mirror. A lot of sessions were done with a panel of therapists, if you will, and then the family would be in this other room on the other side of the one-way mirror. And it was really kind of cool to switch the lights. So as the panel of therapists was reflecting and talking about what they saw during the session, they could turn off the lights in the family room and the family could actually see, oh, there's a whole panel of people that care about us, that are listening to us, that are thinking about different ways of looking at our issues and problems that we're coming in with. How cool is that? If I have these mental blank spots or these blind spots that I can't see, here's a whole panel of people that are also thinking about it and looking at it from different viewpoints. I really, really value consultation. Consultation with other therapists, group supervision is a huge one that I've benefited from over the years. And families really dig it whenever I come back and I'd be like, because they know, in going over confidentiality, that I do have consultation and that I do consult with other therapists. I don't give identifying information out. But if I let them know, like, hey, I was consulting and I was really thinking about it and talking about your guys' family, and these were some of the ideas that I got or that I heard from them, and I'd never thought about it that way. What do you think about it? It tends to go over pretty well. They like it that I'm thinking about them outside of session, that I'm really a team player trying to help them to get to where they want to be as a family. So that's a little bit about reflective listening and how much of a clutch key skill it is. All the families that meet with me know if there's one thing that I hope that you guys can take with you outside of therapy, it is reflective listening. So it's a two-way dialogue in our session, no monologues here. I definitely don't want to feel like I'm lecturing. And I also like it to be balanced, especially when there's that power dynamic of a parent-child in the room. I help the teen to be their mouthpiece. I ask permission for that first. And I ask permission a lot. I think that that's an important part of being humble as a therapist, is I reflect back to what they're saying, what their noble intentions are, what it sounds like their personal struggles are. Check for meaning. Is that what does that fit? Am I okay in saying that? And let's say that they really want to teach and prepare their teen to be successful in life, but they struggle with being able to connect with them and have a bond with them, and they tend to go into this lecture mode where the teen just blocks them out and does not receive the guidance and the advice that they have to give. Then I'll ask, do I have your permission to help you with that? Do I have your permission to help bridge that gap between you and your child, so that way all of this good advice and direction can land a little bit better, or be able to be communicated and received. And so I believe that my clients really appreciate that whenever I don't make assumptions, and whenever I'm a little less directive and I ask for that permission. So, yeah, it's not a dueling conversation where I'm just waiting for my chance to speak, they're waiting for their chance to speak. In collaborative therapy, it really is just like an open dialogue where we're all discussing it together. So I know I mentioned earlier that the problems get dissolved in collaborative therapy. Not solved, dissolved. So it's all about new understandings, shifts in perspective, and that evolves through that open dialogue that we can have in our sessions together. So instead of them coming in with problems and then me giving my advice and my expertise on how to solve these problems, rather it's a give and a take, and it's a lot of curiosity and exploring and just being open-minded. Not only am I open-minded to how they view the problems and how they view solutions, but it's also asking them in a way to be open-minded as well. So knowing that they are the experts in their own lives, and that I'm also an expert in my life and an expert in this field, I can share with them. I've worked with families that have had some similar struggles that you are presenting. And there's some different kind of solutions that I've seen really work for them. For example, mindfulness. Practicing some belly breathing has really worked for a couple of the people that I've seen. What do you think about that? And then I'm just open-minded. Let's see where they go with that. Maybe they hate it. Maybe they're like, I have tried breathing, Christina. It doesn't work for me. It is not my thing. I cannot picture myself meditating. Then it's just like, all right, on to the next. Like I'm not going to push it, even though I've seen in my own life benefited from breath work and from mindfulness meditation. I've seen it work for a lot of the families and clients that I've seen. Everybody's different. If they don't jive with it, then that's fine. On to the next, Just being open-minded and being able to collaborate and throw our different ideas in the hat. One of the ideas that I have thrown in the hat that a lot of families have actually jived with and used is the idea of using a code word. So I explained to them that whenever I was pregnant with Logan, my oldest son, that my therapist told me that every feeling that I'm having, my baby's having. Usually they stop me at this point and they're like, wait, you have a therapist? And I'm like, yeah. Everyone benefits from having a therapist. Another way of getting on the same level, right? And so I let them know that, yeah, I was told that every feeling I was feeling, my baby was feeling. So if I was feeling anxious, my baby's feeling anxious. If I'm feeling, happy, my baby's feeling happy. Calm. Angry. And I was like, oh, snap. I'm going to give birth to an angry baby. No, I don't want to give birth to an angry baby. And all these hormones and emotions that were more intense. And so I came up with, in collaboration with my partner at the time, the father of my children, we came up with a code word. So that way, if the conversation was not going well, and we can tell, right, when the conversation's not going well, then one of us could call out monkey. And if we said monkey, then the rules were that we were going to stop talking, separate, go cool down until we could come back together, do some reflecting, perspective taking, and be able to talk things out and attack the problem, not the person. This solution really, really helped us then, helps us still today, even though we're not together. It helps us to be better co-parents. And it's something that helps with my kids. They know monkey. Helps with my current partner, my fiance now. We have a different code word that we can use. And so I throw that out there and I ask, what do you think? Is this something that you guys could experiment with? And if they say yes, then yeah, let's try it out. If no, then I drop it. I drop it right there because everybody's different. And I think that my clients know that. They know that I'm not going to push if it's not something that jives with them, not something that they can see themselves doing. I don't assume that just because it worked for me and my family or that it's worked for these other families that it's going to work for them because they are unique. So I hope that some of this gave you some food for thought on how you can be collaborative and work as a team with your clients and families that you work with. And I'm looking forward to seeing some of you in the Q&A session that we have coming up. So I'll see you then. Bye.